from a lot of the unrest of the 60s and early 70s that a lot of other campuses faced.
What else can you tell us about the emergence of the Black Gospel Ensemble and what it meant to you?
To be honest, if it hadn't been for the fact that I was the roommate of one of the organizers, I probably wouldn't have participated because I have been a church musician since I was 8 years old. And I had been playing for 10, 11 straight years, well, 10 years before I came to college. I was already in the marching band, so I said, look, I need to give music, especially church music, a rest because of the fact every Sunday I knew where I was going to be. I had no chance to enjoy being a young child or a teenager because every Sunday I was sitting in church. But after talking with Jerry and understanding the need for it, because we had no other outlet, we really didn't have any other outlet to come together, except in the grill playing bid whist. You know, it wasn't spades like it is now, it was bid whist. And so I said, okay. And actually, it was a way for me to keep my talent current and for me to see younger students as they were coming in. And even though I was but about a year or two older than some of them, I'd had a year or two more experience on this campus and enabled them to see that sometimes you can't bust down doors. You just have to knock and it'll open if you knock on it the right way. But the Black Gospel Ensemble was like a family. And it's ironic that at the reunion, two students I taught in high school came to Morehead, and they're in the choir today. And so then when I walked in, they said, Mr. Roberts. I said, yes. And somebody said, why'd they call you Mr. Roberts? I said, I told them when they were students in high school, unless I give you permission to call me by my first name, my name is Mr. Roberts to you. So they, and they're grown adults right now, but they still call me Mr. Roberts. So, but the Black Gospel Ensemble will always be a special part of my life because, not because I was in the first choir, but I was also its first organist and first pianist. And I think the tradition that is carried on, I had something to do with laying that foundation 40 years ago.
Looking back at it 40 years now, and it's still here, do you have any other thoughts? Or?
The only thing, as I tell anybody, it is your history that has laid the foundation for your present, therefore your future. Don't discard the things of the past, because the things of the past is what gives you a sense of direction. Everything that's new is not always good for you. You've always got to know where you come from to see where you're going. And I'm hoping that they continue to carry on the Black Gospel Ensemble, but what I would really like to see them is drop the name Black Gospel Ensemble and make it just the Gospel Ensemble, because music knows no color. It's just in the way we interpret it. So in order for people to understand the reasons why we sang the way we sang is to open up the doors and let them understand so they can become appreciative of it and become a part of it. Because there's gospel in everybody's soul. It's just the way we interpret it. Every hymn has the same notes, but the way we interpret those notes with the feeling that we have at the time is unique for us. So in order to understand the reason why we can put so much resonance into a hymn and we slow a hymn down and listen to the words is because of the way we feel it. So become a part and take that feeling and spread it out. Just don't label it. But at the time we labeled it because it was something that was ours. It was the only thing we had on this campus. But now there's no need for it, because I tell my students, I said, number one, if we start to work together and understand one another, we will find we have more in common than we have differences. And I also want them to everyone to understand that it's been my calling to teach children of color. My first master's thesis was entitled The Total We of Me. And I titled it that because all you see is this, and this is how you label me. But the totality of who I am is all the ethnicities in past generations that have brought me to this point. Well, as far as the Black Gospel Ensemble is concerned, think of all of us that have brought you to this point, but all the different ethnicities that we are mixed with, put all that together and you have a grand smorgasbord. So in that smorgasbord, every person on this campus is a part of it. So we don't need to exclude, we need to include.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to say or comment on?
Actually, no. No, I don't think. I think one of the greatest, I always say man plans, God demands. I had planned to go to Penn State, but God demanded that I be here at Morehead State University. And if it hadn't have been for Morehead State University, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it's because of the foundation that I received here. This isn't just for black students. This is for any student that may see this. This place, this wonderful place that I call mine, has given me the sense of self that I needed to embark on my educational career and to stand toe-to-toe with anybody if it hadn't have been for the foundation laid here by the dedicated and, shall we say, sometimes those not given credit for what they have done. But every teacher that's ever taught in this place, in this university, in this normal school, state college, teachers college, university, have laid the foundation for the excellent education that I received and all those preceding me and after me. If you don't take advantage of it, it's not because it's not here. And if you don't use the tools they've given you, it's nobody's fault but your own. But this place has been, shall I say, the foundation of everything that I am in the field of education right now. And I've worked my way up from a high school teacher to my present position as Dean of the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences at Ivy Tech Community College in Columbus, Indiana. And I'll tell them all, where'd you go to school? I said, I went to Morehead State University. Is that all? I said, that's the only place I really need to tell you I went because that's where my foundation is. So, but that's what I leave to anyone that sees this. You're at a place where greatness is a tradition. It's not something that just comes and goes. The foundations for solid education have always been here. And I attribute that to those that came before, and I hope those that follow continue that tradition. I guess that's all I got to say. Is that enough?
Percy Metcalf, that's Percymetcalf, Jr.
Percy, why did you come to Morehead State?
I had a track scholarship. I went to Mill High School in Louisville, and I was really blessed, man, to have a few offers from a few schools. And a friend of mine, we both had offers from Morehead and Western and Tennessee. So he said, what we would do, we just take a trip to Morehead, take a look at it, you know. So we came up here, man, in my '63 Chevy, you know, with no air, and I had, get this, I'm driving my car to Morehead in a '63 Chevy with no air conditioning. I had these vents, you know, you open those vents and leaves and stuff start flying out. So anyway, we got here. When I got here, man, the campus was so beautiful. Now, I'd already been to Western through the schools, you know, but when I got here, the campus was so beautiful. The people like sitting in the grass playing guitars, and it's just beautiful. I went up to the lake and said, this is a nice place. So I met the coach and went to the track, and the track at that time when the rubberized tracks just then came out. Western had one, and Morehead had one, and it was beautiful, beautiful green with yellow. I said, oh shoot, it's real nice. The coach was nice. Coach was new, and but he was a nice guy, you know. But the school was just so beautiful, man. It struck me and it got me, you know. And so we left here, went back home, we talked about it. I said, I went to other schools, but something about Morehead, though, just the beauty of it, you know. The beauty of it got me, man. And the leaves and things, it was just beautiful, man. That's what got me.
What was dorm life like?
We stayed in, at that time it was an athletic dorm up the hill from the stadium called Downing Hall. And it was real nice. The four of us to a room, and it was like a little hotel, actually. You know, you come with a key. But it was some hungry years because at that time track was a minor sport, so it didn't provide meals. Everything else you had books and room, but no meals. And so the coach would take us to his house, man, to eat once or twice a week. And the rest of the time you're on your own, you know. So it was some hungry years, man. So, but the dorm life, I shared a room with 3 other guys, one of which I came to Morehead with. We both scholarships here from Mill High School. Then another guy from Eastern High School who I didn't like at the time because we already ran track against him. I did not like him. He was my roommate, man. Danny Hamlin, I couldn't stand Danny Hamlin. He was my roommate, man. So then Steve White from New Jersey, you know. So it was some quality athletes, man, track guys. And so it was really nice. Like I said, we were hungry a lot, but it was really, really nice, man.
What did you study?
At the time, you know, when we first got here, we were PE major. Everybody's a PE major, you know. So after the first semester, it was the hard part of it was maintaining any type of grade point average, was trying to understand how to get that time, because track was all the time. You practice in the morning, practice in the evening, and this. When do we study? Is there a studying time? And this is where do we do this thing? So trying to understand to get the schedule together is when you get your studies and when you do that thing and try to hook it in. You know, I remember the first semester, man, I was on academic probation, 1.5. I said, oh man, I'm gonna flunk. I can't even send this home. Are these grades going home? So once I understood how it works and how to do it, then I started getting the grades better. And but the food was still a problem. Eating was still a problem. But finally understood how to get the studying in with the athletics, man, was a challenge. But once I understood that, man, we finally got it together. And it was all right. It was all right.
You mentioned earlier you worked on the campus TV station.
Yeah, I did. When I really finally figured out what I really wanted to do. I had a double major in speech and in broadcasting. And the broadcasting, boy, it was something. I found that there were some professors there were some who had actually worked in the business, but there also were those who had not, you know. And the ones who had not was telling you some things that didn't really prepare you for that, you know. So when I got out of school in broadcasting and started working at Wave TV, I went in with all the book. I had the book, man. I knew the stuff, the signals and things. And the anchor stopped me one day and said, Percy, we don't use those anymore. Oh, dang, I learned all these 35 pieces. He said, no, we don't use that. We just do cars and things, but just relax. It's okay, you know. So, but the professors who had worked in the business, man, were helpful, you know, were just helpful to me, man. And to really teach me about how it really is. It's important to have someone who's actually been there to tell you the thing. Then I had a speech major as well, and I was convinced after taking the speech class, and I would sit in the grill and have a cheese sandwich and write these speeches, you know, right before class. And I would get in there, man, and blow them away. I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. They like these speeches. I just wrote that 5 minutes ago, man. So my professor at the time was Dr. Ham, and he took me to the side one day and said, you know, you're really good at this. You know, if you really apply yourself, you can really do something. So I did, and he talked me to join the speech team. And I started traveling and winning, and I said, this is all right, man. So I doubled the majors and had a double major in speech and broadcasting. You know.
How did you find your way to the Black Gospel Ensemble?
It was just the word of mouth on the campus that there is a choir here that rehearses and sings, you know, and I kind of thought I was a singer when I got here, you know, so I took their advice and came to rehearsal one night, and it was incredible, man. I got there as a freshman, and you know, they have a lot of black organizations on campus. You know, they had 2 fraternities and 2 sororities, and during the week they did their own thing, but at this time, you know, they all came together, man, and I saw them, they were standing right next to each other and loving it and singing, and the voices were incredible. And I think, this is cool, because there wasn't a black church in Morehead at the time. So for those of us who sort of attended church before we got to college, and this was kind of a way to actually kind of get your church on, you know. So it became a wonderful experience, man. How it actually brought all of these organizations in one place at that time together. You know what I mean? I thought that was just the most incredible thing, man. And so I got hooked on it. I got hooked on eating at Sunday, too. We go out to churches and sing, man, in different churches around the city and things, and Louisville and different places, and they would feed us. Oh, man, I'd bring some cake back and have it for the next day before class. It was beautiful, man. It's wonderful.
Do you remember any trips or anything in particular with the ensemble?
I do. The one that really stands out, we go to Louisville a lot because there are a lot of members from Louisville. So Jerry Gore, who was the advisor at the time, would invite all the parents to come to hear the choir sing. And when they got there, you know, of course they hear us sing. Then afterwards, they would bring like a little care package for everybody. Their parents would bring you a box to take back to school with canned goods and things, you know. But the one trip that really stands out to me is a trip to Atlanta, Georgia. I went to Atlanta during Thanksgiving vacation every year, and that was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, man. we heard all those schools down there who were just historic black colleges, you know, and Fisk University and Bethune-Cookman, and man, and they came, and we came from Morehead, you know, we came from Morehead, and we had some wonderful songs, we were prepared, you know, but they came down there, man, they had robes that somebody, they had their robes made, you know, these beautiful robes, and they were things. I said, wow, who are these people? Where do they come from? And the songs they sung, oh man, it was just beautiful. You know, then they recorded it and gave us a copy of the recording, and it was beautiful, man. In the second year we went, we put together a trio, myself and another guy, another girl, and we were the song we presented there that year. And the song we sung was the Lord's Prayer a cappella. And it became a hit, man. They started playing it in Louisville on the radio station, signed off with it. And yeah, man, Morehead. I said, the little Morehead choir had the hit song of the whole gospel festival. That was the most incredible time, that Atlanta trip. Like, we didn't have any money to go, you know, and didn't have the attire, but man, we went there, and it was really a blessing, man. It was something that I'll never forget that.
How were race relations on campus? Were they different on campus than they were in town?
Yeah, it was a little tight. You know, you can imagine that. In the 70s, not the school. Now the school, I came here in like 73, and it wasn't just Morehead, but that was the nation at the time. It was a little race that the busing was going to kick next couple of years in Louisville. It was tight, man. And so Morehead was a little tight. And I had a professor tell me once. He said, don't go downtown after dark. He said, because if you do, you could get harmed, because there's people who live around here who've never seen a black person before. So before the sun goes down, if you're down there, get back to the door. Oh man, you know, when somebody tell you, I'm thinking, oh dang, you know, don't go downtown. Go downtown after dark. Don't go. If you're downtown, run. You know, so it was a little stiff. Because most of the white fraternities and sororities and black, it all stayed separate. You know, it stayed separate. And there was a couple of times that there was some confrontations during the intramural sport thing. You know, and now I look back on it. I can look back on it now and know why. You know, because it was the nation at the time, man. I can't expect more to be different than what was going on around us. You know, so I understood it. And coming from a person who I only had one fight in my entire life, and I didn't even start the fight. And I almost got beat up by a guy in junior high school. So I wasn't a real tussler. You know, I try to stay away from that kind of stuff, man. And so when I got here, man, it was the intramural sports was always a racial thing. And I don't say this as a bad, because you expect this. You had to expect it. You know, you had to expect something like. So during the intramural sport time, there was always some racial things that would kick off. You know, the teams would come on the field. It was a bunch of stuff. You know, but it eventually, man, around about my junior year, it began to just subside, and we began to mingle. We had a mixer once with one of the other fraternities. I think it was Sigma Pi or Sigma Nu. One of the white fraternities we had a mixer with the Omega Psi Phi fraternity I was in. And it was wonderful. I'm thinking, man, it's long overdue. You know, it's long overdue. We had a wonderful time, man. Yeah, it was just wonderful. Finally, we got to mix with one another. You know, because you get into this little microcosm. And you realize things are starting to change out here now, you know, so you got to change with it. And so when relations start to get better, you know, it really started to get better around, you know, Morehead and other cities and places. And that was a monumental thing that happened with us, you know, when we had that mixer with Sigma Pi, Sigma, whatever it was, because it became a thing, you know, like race. It's not a thing